Let me start off by giving you a quote from President Obama himself. To the Muslim world, we seek a new way forward, based on mutual interest and mutual respect. To those who cling to power through corruption and deceit and the silencing of dissent, know that you are on the wrong side of history, but that we will extend a hand if you are willing to unclench your fist. Only 12 and a half minutes into President Obama's presidency, he reached out to Iran, offering America's hand of friendship if the Iranians would unclench their fists. This was a bold move, but not born out of desire, but of necessity. To the best of our knowledge, there was no childhood dream of President Obama to conduct diplomacy and negotiations with the Ayatollahs of Iran. It was something that was born out of the results of the policies of the previous administration that had made peace a necessity, essentially. The Bush administration pursued an ideological foreign policy that essentially treated negotiations as a reward. We should only talk to countries that deserved our company. And we are the ultimate source of legitimacy, and if we talk to the regime in Iran, for instance, we would risk legitimizing it. As a result, we would punish and isolate it by simply not speaking to it. Now, one can have whatever views about the value or correctness of that ideology, but its track record, I think, is difficult to dispute. This is a track record in which during the 8 years that the Bush administration sought to punish Iran by not talking to it, the Iranians went from having only a few dozen centrifuges to having more than 8,000. The Iranians expanded their influence in Lebanon. They became the kingmakers in Afghanistan and in Iraq. And Iran's soft power in the region skyrocketed, partly, if not mainly, because it was challenging an increasingly unpopular America in the Middle East. Against this backdrop, candidate Obama did what no one else had done before him. He made negotiations with America's foes a central part of his election platform. Obama recognized very quickly that one of the first things he needed to do was to change the atmospherics. The atmospherics of the Iranians calling the United States the Great Satan, the United States putting Iran in the axis of evil, was not conducive to the success of diplomacy. The language needed to change. And that was one of the first things that the Obama administration did, changing the language of hostility, essentially eliminating the language that the Bush administration in particular had been used. It was a cost-free exercise, but one that was critical because it was hoped to signal to the Iranians that Obama's and America's intent for diplomacy was a genuine one.